Hi guys, this is the third and final video of the Mastery setup. I've done this once before, but I have to redo it because the sound was absolutely awful. If the sound was terrible in the last two videos, I apologize. I guess I'll just have to redo them at some point. Right, so the Proficiencies Masteries. This is where you can actually have fun with your Mastery setup. Alright, that was just lame. Masteries are quite boring. Nonetheless, you can actually do quite a lot with this, even though it's the smallest mastery tree of them all. We start off with those that don't have too many points to play with. Alright, so you below level 60, you probably even below level 30. Okay, as a summoner. Wisdom and intelligence. Two things that generally is lacking in the world. That's what you want in the game, okay? Max these out and you'll get higher levels a lot faster, which means that you get more points for your masteries and you can get your champs better much faster. Okay. The gold ones, pittance and prosperity. Do you really need them? I don't think so. In general, gold is relatively easy to come by until you start getting quite a bit higher in the game, and then you got your mastery points in other places in any case, so no point in putting points there. We're going to skip the important parts. We're going to go to these. All these detect ones and the scouter lens. That was for war from quite a while ago. I actually unlocked this one because I thought, let's see how it works in the solo gameplay. It didn't. I think it was quite expensive as well, but I don't know. Irrelevant. Don't unlock those. It is a waste of points. It is a waste of cores. It is a waste of everything. There is no use for it in the game today. We'll just have to wait for Masteries 2.0, which I think is coming in 2022. Hopefully. And yeah. Because it's right next to it, Cosmic Awareness. Each point here reduces the effective enemy armor ups. Okay. If you remember in war, there was an armor up node where people would generally put Colossus and then people would take Corvus and die. You could have 5 points here and you could take Corvus and live. But what's the point? Alright, so that isn't really right, because most Cosmic champs are very high critting champs, and therefore most of their shots ignore armor anyway, to a degree. And yes, they will be ignoring armor up buffs, but generally if you place an armor break on a champ, they lose their armor up in general if they are tech. How useful is this mastery? Not very at all. Is it worth putting points into it? I'm sure you find someone that will say yes. I don't think so. I think when it comes to watching the amount of points that you're putting out on different things, I think there's better places to spend your points than just there. Mystic Dispersion. Yes. 3 points in Mystic Dispersion I think is the sweet spot. If you have 2 points to put on Mystic Dispersion, I think that can be great too. 1 point is pointless. No, 1 point is 1 point, but still, there's no use putting in 1 point. I think 3 points is quite a sweet spot, depending on the champ that you have. 4 points I think is overkill. You're going to be throwing special 3s till you're blue in the face, and special 3s don't do the most damage for most champs. Right, so that takes care of the extremities. So everything else is question marks or done. We start at the beginning. Parry. Now parry lets you, I was meant to press the I there, lets you prevent a certain amount of damage. 3 points is 25% extra damage that you're sort of blocking. And it lets you scale for an amount of stun off of your parry with the amount of perfect block that you have. So if you have 4 points here and you have 3 points there, you are maximizing that mastery for the amount of stun that you can get out of a parry, right? And then for that stun, you can then scale it with stupefy, that it then just goes for an additional half a second if you've got that full, right? Now, I'm running 3 points in stupefy. I generally say to people you only need to run 1 if you can work up the skill to it. I also say to people run 1 point in limber, but I'm busy trying something out, so that is why my mastery setup looks like what it is. Limber is something that you have 5 points in if you are busy doing a lot of fights in Abyss and you're practicing it. If you're doing LOL and you're practicing it, or if you're doing something where you can get stunned quite easily, like for example reverse stun nodes, that's where it's good to have limber. Stupefy, like I said, gives you a little bit of extra stun time. 3 points in stupefy lets you, as long as you have full parry and full perfect block chance, you can basically ignore limber nodes. You can't parry heavy on these nodes, but you can parry and then go to a quick attack afterwards. You will always be stunning. Not the complement version, you will always be stunning your opponent. Right, so then you got dexterity. 1 point in dexterity, you do not need 3. Yes, Corvus is a beast when he dexes, and then he goes in for that first medium afterwards. But really, it comes down to the amount of points you are using. Your points are worth something. Alright, so you're basically putting 2 points here, you're taking points from somewhere else. 1 point, plenty. Lets you dex, that's what you're after. That brings you more than the actual attack as such, is the ability to dex. Petrify. The amount of people that throw 3 points in Petrify baffles me. Because basically what you're doing is you are preventing people from getting power, and you are reducing regeneration for the time of a stun. So that means that you have to have this one full, you have to have that one full, and you have to have that one full to get the maximum out of Petrify. That's a lot of points. However, if you learn to bait specials, you don't have to worry about power gain. If you use the right champs that maybe put on Petrify, you don't have to worry about power gain. So using the right champ and Despair, putting down debuffs on an opponent, will basically do the same thing. Okay, so this is kind of a pointless mastery, but to be able to get to what is worth its weight in gold, Pacify. Pacify lets you, during a stun, shut down a node if you have 3 points in it. So damage caps in Abyss and LOL, you can get past them. You have a chance to get past them to the Pacify mastery. So you stun the opponent and you manage to shut down the node, you are going to go straight through the damage cap. And if you want to know how to do that, I recommend looking up Metal Sonic Dude and watching that guy go. He's got 3 points to pacify, destroys almost anything in the game. And Mystic Dispersion we've covered. So, quick rundown again. Parry. If you want stun increase from parry, have that one. More points in there. Okay. Limber, aim for 1 point. Stupefy, aim for 0 to 1 point. You know, increase your skill, get good. Dexterity, you kind of need that because we're not fighting Dormammu every fight. And activate your masteries when you need them. Don't be afraid to change your masteries around. It doesn't have to be expensive if you think about it. Right, so Petrify, 0 to 1 point. Pacify, 0 to 0 or 3 points, in my opinion. Adjust your setup if you're running Pacify that you can run 3 points in it to get the maximum effect. Mystic Dispersion, 2 to 3 points. That's your sweet spot depending on who you use the most. If we take a look at here, Aunt May again, world's best MCOC website amongst others. This is the one where we were running a non-suicide setup. Alright, for a person that was wondering about their skill level. Right, so a lot of points in defense, not running suicides. Alright, so loads of defense there. And then only 1 point here, because do they need more? No. Start working down from Stupefy, 3 to 1 to 0. Gives you 3 points extra when you're done with it. Fantastic, you can check them on attack somewhere. 3 points in Mystic Dispersion, because that's perfectly possible. Can we close that? Yes. And then 1 point in Dex. I mean, you see that it looks more or less the same, except for that here there is Pacify and Mystic Dispersion, 6 points, which for me are lying in the suicides over there. Pulling away 2 points from here, if you can get it down to 1 or even 0, I would put them immediately here. Max out PS, at least 2 points there then, and say 2 points in courage or the other way around. These are the first two that immediately increase your attack without actually increasing your attack. Because you're ignoring armor means that you're doing more damage, even though you're not hitting harder. And here, every time you're losing health, then you do increase your attack passively. So, good to consider. That's a good thing to do with them, I think. But yeah, that is my take on Masteries. What I think. Obviously then you can't use this. That is my take on Masteries. Thank you for watching. If you have any ideas, positive criticism, feedback, please feel free to get a hold of me. Those of you that have my who I am online, you know where I am. Otherwise, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.